Daily Words of God. God makes coats of skins for Adam and Eve. Genesis chapter 3, verses 20 and 21. And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. To Adam, also unto his wife, did Jehovah God make coats of skins, and clothed them. To Adam, also and to his wife, did Jehovah God make coats of skins, and clothed them. In this scene, what kind of role do we see God assume when he is with Adam and Eve? In what way does God manifest himself in this world with only two human beings? Does he manifest himself in the role of God? Brothers and sisters from Hong Kong, please answer.
In the role of a parent.
Brothers and sisters from South Korea, what kind of role do you think God appears as?
Head of the family.
Brothers and sisters from Taiwan, what do you think?
The role of someone in Adam and Eve's family, the role of a family member.
Some of you think God appears as a family member of Adam and Eve, while some say God appears as the head of the family, and others say as a parent. All of these are very appropriate. But do you see what I'm getting at? God created these two people and treated them as his companions. As their only family, God looked after their lives and took care of their food, clothing, and shelter needs. Here, God appears as a parent of Adam and Eve. While God does this, man does not see how lofty God is. He does not see God's supremacy, his mystery, and especially not his wrath or majesty. All he sees is God's humbleness, his affection, his concern for man, and his responsibility and care for him. The attitude and way in which God treated Adam and Eve is akin to how parents show concern for their children. It is also like the way parents love, look after, and care for their own sons and daughters. Real, visible, and tangible. Instead of elevating himself to a high and mighty position, God personally used skins to make clothing for man. It does not matter whether this fur coat was used to cover their modesty or to shield them from the cold. What matters is that this clothing for covering man's body was personally made by God with his own hands. Rather than simply thinking the clothing into existence or using some other miraculous means, as people might imagine God would do, God legitimately did something that man would have thought God would not and should not do. This might seem like a trivial thing. Some people might not even think it is worth mentioning, but it allows any follower of God who was beset with vague conceptions about him to gain an insight into his genuineness and loveliness, and to see his faithfulness and humbleness. It makes insufferably arrogant people who think they are high and mighty bow their conceited heads in shame in the face of God's genuineness and humbleness. Here, God's genuineness and humbleness further enables people to see how lovable he is. By contrast, the immense God, lovable God, and omnipotent God people hold in their hearts has become trifling and ugly, and crumbles at the slightest touch. When you see this verse and hear this story, do you look down upon God because he did such a thing? Some people might, but others will have the opposite reaction. They will think God is genuine and lovable, and it is precisely God's genuineness and loveliness that moves them. The more they see the real side of God, the more they can appreciate the true existence of God's love, the importance of God in their hearts, and how He stands beside them at every moment. Now, let us relate our discussion back to the present. If God could do these various little things for the people He created at the very beginning, even things that people would never dare think of or expect, then could God do such things for people today? Some say, yes. Why is that? Because God's essence is not feigned, and His loveliness is not feigned. God's essence truly exists and is not something added on by others, and certainly not something that changes with different times, places, and eras. God's genuineness and loveliness can truly be brought out only by doing something people think is unremarkable and insignificant. Something so trifling that people would not even think He would ever do it. God is not pretentious. There is no exaggeration, disguise, pride, or arrogance in His disposition and essence. He never boasts, but instead loves, shows concern for, looks after, and leads, with faithfulness and sincerity, the human beings He created. No matter how little people may appreciate, feel, or see what God does, He most certainly is doing it. Would knowing that God has such an essence affect people's love for Him? Would it influence their fear of God? I hope when you understand the real side of God, you will grow even closer to Him and be able to more truly appreciate His love and care for mankind, as well as be able to give your heart to God and be delivered from suspicions and doubts about Him. God is quietly doing everything for man, doing it all silently through His sincerity, faithfulness, and love. But He never has any apprehensions or regrets over anything He does, nor does He ever need anyone to repay Him in any way, or have intentions of ever obtaining anything from mankind. The only purpose of everything He has ever done is so He can receive mankind's true faith and love.